Testing out a new 12 volt refrigerator. How new is it? It's this new. Oh, leftover. Got the BougeRV Rocky 50 portable refrigerator, and I was going to do a review on it, but I thought before I get into that, I just wanted to talk about 12 volt refrigerators on a whole, just in case people are on the fence on whether they should get one or not. Maybe give them some information that might help them out. So full disclosure, BougeRV gave this to me as a test to say, might make a review on it, tell us what you think about it, all that kind of stuff. Told them that's fine as long as I can be 100% honest in the review. But this is my third portable 12 volt refrigerator, so I've got a little bit of experience with them already. So I kind of have some ideas of what to look out for, things that are important, stuff like that, for anybody that maybe just got one or is thinking of getting them. I grew up camping in the 80s with my family, and back then they had just barely gotten past the old metal outside ice chests, and we were always working on how to extend that ice life as long as possible for 4 and 5 day trips, and we came up with a lot of good things, but there's just always limitations when you're running with ice. In the last couple decades with the new rotomolded chests, they've come a long way. They last a lot longer, but as they've gotten better, they've also gotten way more expensive. And in the meantime, 12 volt refrigerators that I remember seeing people first start using in the 2000s have come way down in price, to the point where if you're getting a rotomolded cooler, you're pretty close to getting a 12 volt refrigerator at that point. So that's why I started buying them, and I really like doing it because when you have all that ice, regardless of how well you try, it's inevitably just going to become all melted, just this giant pool of liquid in the bottom, and your food's going to fall into it. Every single time I've done so much to try to make trays and things that hold it above it, but when you're driving down the road, you hit one bump and everything flies out. Now you've got raw bacon, ketchup, everything just floating around in that soup, and it's disgusting. You can't eat or drink any of that stuff now because it might be contaminated with God knows what. So getting a 12 volt refrigerator gets rid of all those issues. The flip side is that now you have to worry about providing power and keeping it going all the time, which, depending upon how you camp, could be very difficult. If you're doing a lot of car camping or overlanding, it's pretty easy because you're driving all the time and you've got charge there. Also, they run off batteries really well and for quite a long time, and you can power them by solar. So there's a lot of options to power it, but that's something you have to factor in. Benji, deer. Do you see the deer? Look at the deer. Hi, bud. So all the deer back there photobombs me, and this simmers. Yeah, there, like all things, you kind of still have to juggle a 12 volt fridge to make sure you can get the most efficiency out of it. Finally sees it. Was that exciting, bud? Oh, look at that tail. Yeah, if you want to maximize the efficiency of a 12 volt cooler, there are some tips and tricks that can help out. One thing is pre-chill, just like ice chests. Pre-chill the cooler before you go. Freeze all the things that are going to be frozen, or some of the things that can be frozen will defrost on the way, and refrigerate everything. Make sure everything's already at temperature so you're not having to pull the temperatures down, and that'll help keep the temperature in the cooler a lot more level. By themselves, they're pretty heavy, so when you're loading them in the car, you probably want to, they usually have baskets in there. Take the baskets out, load the cooler in the car, and then load the baskets back into the cooler once it's all set up. Make it a little bit more easy to move your stuff around. The way they work is usually there's cooling elements around the outside of the fridge. Those can get really cold, so anything that is going through the basket and touches the sides could actually freeze even though it's in refrigeration mode. So watch out for things that get too much to the side. Maybe things on the outside that you don't mind freezing. Water bottles go really good out there. Everything else is good to have in the center. So one of the problems with the refrigerators is they're not very large. There's not a lot of air circulation, and it's really easy when you open it for the air to come out. So try to minimize the amount of time that it's open, and keep things closed as much as possible if you have to open it up once or twice. If you're getting a drink for yourself, ask if anybody else wants a drink and get them all at once. Also, the things on the bottom will usually be the coldest. The things above that will have a hard time maintaining whatever temperature you set. So try to keep the coldest things you need coldest at the bottom. Things like fruits and vegetables can go on top. When you're actively using it and opening and closing it, the temperatures can fluctuate quite a bit, so you'll probably notice that when you set the temperatures on the fridge, you'll want to have them quite a bit colder than you usually have them at your residential home refrigerator. Drop it a few extra degrees, keep an eye on things, feel how they are occasionally. It gives you a good idea where you need to keep things. One problem I've come across is that not all 12-volt systems in the vehicles are the same. My problem is that the wires going from my cigarette outlets over to the battery are a little too thin, and it causes an error in the voltage reading, which causes the automatic shutoff to keep the battery from draining, kicking in a little too early. It thinks that my battery is lower than it is, so the fridge would shut off. It would detect the power's back up, it would turn back on, the compressor would cycle, and then it would drop again, up, down, up, down, up, down, and it wasn't able to maintain the temperatures I needed. I fixed that by getting a homemade battery in between, but this new BougeRV one actually has a built-in battery, which I'm really looking forward to testing out. I started talking to them and told them about this issue that I had, and they were talking about the battery, so I kind of want to test it out and see if that'll fix the problem. So put a pin on that, we'll come to that a little bit later. Forgot the French toast egg to milk ratio. I think it was very egg heavy. Photographers, I just realized you could use this fridge to keep film cold. Not that refrigeration usually means that much, but this ready load stuff is already expired, so keeping it cold on a long road trip would be better than keeping it in a hot back seat. So one more benefit for the Rocky 50 cooler. So how does this fridge hold up? Really well, actually. It's got some great features that really set it apart from its competition. So far, I've really been liking it. So let's start off with what comes with this when you buy it. It'll come with its 2 baskets and the removable divider, which I noticed doesn't have a switch that allows it to detect. I think there's some type of a magnetic thing in here that's clicking on and off, but it knows when the divider is in there or not, which is pretty cool. It also comes with the regular wall outlet that you can plug in. This part is removable, so it's got plugs for the US. I'm guessing if you buy outside the US, it'll come with the plugs for your country. It also comes with the very important 12-volt adapter that plugs into a cigarette lighter outlet. And it comes with the covers for the battery because the battery is not included. They did ship me out a battery to test out. It it sounds like from its manual that it has its own charger, but I didn't get the charger itself, but it doesn't matter. It charges while it's in the fridge, and it can be running and charging at the same time. And last but not least, the user's manual, which surprisingly is very easy to read. It doesn't seem like it was written in a different language and translated to English. It's a good manual, so it's very easy to figure out how this works because everything's written down. This also has a companion app if you want to use it, and the companion app is simple but very functional. It's actually one of the best apps I've used with this. It just seems to hook up off of Bluetooth instead of Wi-Fi, but it tells you what the current settings are. You can change everything. It shows you the exact battery percentage instead of the four little dots blinking on and off, which I really like. So you can see if you've got 64% left instead of 2 or 3 dots. It basically comes with everything you need. So what are some of the pros about the fridge that I really like? I think one of the main things is the divider that allows you to do 2 compartments where you have one as a freezer and one as a fridge, or both as a fridge, or completely remove it and use it as one large refrigerator. A lot of other 12-volt refrigerators have done this before, but it's usually not removable. You can't convert and change and shift things around. So I really like the ability of this to be flexible and provide basically a lot of different fridge configurations in one. Another thing is the fact that this one opens to the side like this, or I should say it opens when the door is horizontal rather than vertical where it opens from this end. I like that because this is usually in the back of my truck, and the way it sits is the roof of the truck is kind of right there. Sometimes if it's high enough, some of those lids will actually hit the roof of the car before I can get them all the way open. It can really be a pain, especially when you're loading the baskets in and out, that the door is kind of in the way. It's a reversible door, so you can have it open this way or open this way. Either way, whatever works best for you. This way works best for me. But it's very helpful. I just really like this. I think this is the way most coolers have always opened, is horizontally like this, and I prefer it this way. I also like that the fridge has a direct connection to solar built into it. Unfortunately, I believe it works with their proprietary solar panels, which I don't have to test. I do have a solar panel array, but it does not work with this. But I like that the solar is built in, the battery's built in, so all I have to do is basically everything is self-contained. I don't have to have a separate battery like I used to with my older fridges. Another thing I love is the built-in battery. That to me is one of the biggest things going into fridges that sets this apart. The battery, according to the manual, is 173 watt hours, which right now has been running on this for about 6 hours, and it's still running. It's still over halfway full. I think the key is that once everything's at temperature, it doesn't need a whole lot of power. This compressor will only cycle on as needed. So it's perfect for once everything's kind of ready and up and going. It allows you to disconnect everything, load the refrigerator maybe from, you got it plugged into the wall, you can load it up into your vehicle, put everything in as you're getting ready to go on your trip, and you can leave it unplugged for a little while and it'll still cycle on and keep things at temperature. I can also see it being really beneficial if you're at a picnic area. Maybe you want to relocate it from your vehicle over to where you're cooking or eating, and you can physically move it somewhere else and not have to worry about it being plugged in for the 4 to 8 hours you might be there having your party or lunch or dinner or whatever you're doing. So it's a good size battery, and I think if it was any bigger, it would be adding too much weight. So it's something I think was really well thought out and just syncs up really well with this fridge. This fridge is very sturdy. I've been able to sit on it. I could probably stand on it, but I haven't risked doing that yet. The stainless steel cover on it is very attractive, looks really good. The great thing about it is for stainless steel finish, it really resists fingerprints amazingly well. They need to figure out what type of stainless steel they used on the on this and use that on the Cybertruck because it looks really good even after I've been handling it and everything. It does still get muddy dog paws on it when my dog was walking on it, but I think anything's going to get dirty from that. I am very curious. Pretty much everything I own has a rather significant dent from me somehow dropping it or fumbling it or doing something like that. And I'm fine with that. I think camping gear is meant to be used and abused. I don't want to keep it pristine, otherwise I would not be going outside with it. So I've resisted dropping a rock on this just to test out how well its dent resistance is. But believe me, this would probably hold up. I'm afraid at some point I'm going to drop my stove on it. I think other than maybe a little ding in it, it's definitely going to hold up and it'll still be 100% functional, which is exactly what I'm looking for. I didn't notice it at first. I didn't see it in any documentation or anything. It wasn't until I was just kind of playing around I noticed that there's this tiny little bottle opener right here, right next to this handle, which it's kind of a silly little thing, but it's really helpful when you do need it. I mean, a lot of people are probably going to take this out to the beach with their drinks, alcoholic and non, and it's nice having a bottle opener with you. So having it built in right next to the fridge, you can just pull a drink right out, pop the top of it, and be good to go. It's a small detail, but it's a detail that goes a long way when you actually need it. I know this is an odd one, but one of my favorite things with, this is not only this fridge, but it's only some fridges, is it has an actual drain plug inside of it. I've noticed that a lot of the 12-volt refrigerators, at least some I've personally owned in the past, didn't even have a drain. It had like a little thing where there was like a little section that you could remove that had a sponge in it to absorb anything that fell in. Like, they were obviously just expecting condensation, but you're going to spill something in here and you're going to want to wash it out, and washing it out where you can't actually drain any water out of it is really annoying. So having a drain plug in the bottom, while being such a small thing, is such a big thing as far as usability. And so it's little attention to detail like that I really like about this fridge. Along the lines of little things like that are a big benefit, another one that I really love about this fridge is the handles. A lot of them have these same spring-loaded handles that will automatically retract flush with the fridge. That's not new, but every other one that I've had that has them really low on the fridge. So when you're trying to carry it, your wrists are kind of rubbing against these two edges and they're really awkward to carry. Whereas this one, it has the handles up on the top. I mean, it's hinging right here on the top edge. So when you're carrying it, your hands are completely free from above. And when you have this kind of at your waist and you're carrying it around, it makes it so much easier to move around, which with these fridges, all brands, models, everything, they are a little heavier than just a plastic cooler, obviously, because they've got the compressor and everything in it. But this one, so far out of every 12-volt refrigerator I've owned or seen even, this one has my favorite handle setup. Again, you're like, well, he's going off about the handles, but it's those little things that affect the usability that is night and day. All the 12-volt refrigerators, as long as they have a compressor, they're all very similar. They're all about the same capabilities. So it comes down to these special kind of lifetime use things that just make it a little bit nicer. And the fact that they thought about that, the fact that they thought about the plug on the bottom, and the fact that they thought about putting in a bottle opener, they're so small, but they go so far when you actually use it. So what are some things I don't like? There's nothing major. I mean, as a fridge, it's great. There are some little nitpicks that I have, which I think go back to the whole usability of it. Part of it is stuff that I'm used to that this doesn't have, or little stuff like that. So one thing is that the display can be a little confusing at first. I had to make sure I read the manual to know how I was setting the temperatures on it. So I see that as partially a negative, but also I'm actually really glad that it just has an LCD screen with some buttons. It doesn't need to be too complicated. Some of the new ones out have like full-on video screens and stuff. It's just overcomplication, touch screens when you don't need touch screens. I just want something where I can set the temperature and go. It's not that complex. It's just a fridge. I don't need to do anything too crazy on it. And this does work, but you're definitely going to just have to read the manual the first time you use it. Another thing that I didn't like, that I'm not quite sure, I found a good solution around, so I wouldn't say it's a big issue, but when you remove the divider, it automatically switches to thinking of it as one unit. That's really cool. But you still have 2 racks, and those racks are sized because they're meant to have a divider in the middle. So now that they don't have the divider, they can rattle around a little bit. I can't think of a good way that the manufacturer would fix that. Like, it's a nitpicking thing, because what else you're going to do? They could send out a 3rd rack that fits the full length, but then I have to worry about storing a rack all the time. They could put out some special divider that has holes and lets air through. Then I have to worry about storing that somewhere. That's just extra stuff that they have to manufacture, which will add to the price, which doesn't really provide that big of a difference. But what I did find is that the regular standard water bottle size fits perfectly in between the 2 baskets. So if you just stick 3 water bottles in between the baskets, that'll keep them from rattling around. It lets the airflow around there, and you've got 3 bonus water bottles in case you run out of water, which, being that I use this type of stuff out in the desert a lot, little spare water is never a bad thing. Another thing is the door kind of slams if you just let go of it. It's a little loud. I wish it had a little bit more of a cushion, but it's got a good weather seal around it. The latches, it does actually latch, so it's not opening unless you pull the latch to open it. Again, it's a very minor complaint. Honestly, I could probably stick a little piece of thick rubber on there that would be just enough to dampen that drop. It's a very minor thing. Again, minimal nitpicking things is that the AC adapter is a separate brick. It would be nice if it was built in, so very minor thing. I don't really think it's that much of an issue. It would be cool if I didn't have to worry about this and I just had 1 cable instead of 2 pieces. I'm fine with it. There's not a whole lot of things I can find to say bad about this, so I'm trying to come up with something, but this is literally the worst I can find. So, do you need a 12-volt refrigerator? When talking about rooftop tents, one of my objections was that for the price you're paying, you're not really getting anything that dramatic or different. You're just changing from sleeping on the ground to sleeping on the roof, and you're paying thousands of dollars for that. It's not really a new feature. 12-volt refrigerators also cost more, but you're actually getting something that you won't have with just an Igloo ice cooler. It's nonstop refrigeration and even freezing, and it's at an attainable price. Instead of spending $4,000 for a sweet new James Burrow tent just to sleep on your roof, you could buy this, a really nice ground tent, a really nice sleeping bag, pad, stove, all the stuff needed to use all that, and still have a couple $1,000s to go on vacations for the rest of the summer and probably the fall. And so that's kind of what I want to get at, is that if you're building out a new camping vehicle or overlanding vehicle, focus on buying the affordable and helpful things that will up your camping game, rather than the super expensive things that'll just look cool bolted to your roof rack. As for me, like I said, I've gone through a lot of 12-volt refrigerators. I still have some in addition to this one. So which one am I going to use from now on? It's going to be this one. I actually really like it. I like the features on it. It's been doing great for me. I like its versatility. I like its size. Even in the hot desert, I took it down. It was 100 degrees outside and I was able to keep ice cream in it. It works fantastic. So this is my new fridge. You'll probably see it in the background of videos from now on. I'm really happy with it. I'm really happy with the way it's designed, and it's got me interested in the company more. I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on them to see what other features come out. If you're interested in one yourself, I was in contact with BougeRV, and they have provided me an affiliate link, which I will link down in the description, that if you click through that and purchase through there, they'll give you a 15% discount. So check it out. It's a very affordable fridge, but that just makes it that much more affordable and I think very competitive. As I mentioned earlier, this was provided to me for review by BougeRV. When they first came to me, I was kind of skeptical. I already had a 12-volt refrigerator, but I did a little bit of research online and I found somebody else who had had their refrigeration products for the last 2 years and said it was still running great, which was one of the main things that I'm not able to test right now is its longevity. So seeing that kind of gave me some confidence. I started looking into the product and the build and everything on it, and seeing that it's got the movable divider so I can have freezer or no freezer or reconfigure it, and the battery got me really interested in it. When I brought that up with them, they were really excited to show it off and said, we'll send you the battery if you want to review it. And I was like, heck yeah, that solves a problem I've had with all 12-volt refrigerators. Having that battery built in is awesome. So the company's been really forthcoming on any questions I've had. They like to communicate, they like to talk about their product, they're excited to show it off. All of those I think are very positive. It's not just a product you're buying, there's a company backing it, and having a good company backing a good product really makes a difference. That can be very valuable down the line. So far I'm very happy with the products, and I've been really happy talking with the company. And I hope if anybody else is interested, that maybe gets them excited to where they'll see this as an option that they can look at and feel comfortable that it'll be a good option for them. Thanks for watching, and I hope this helps you make a decision if you want a portable fridge. If you do, make sure to enjoy a cold drink for me.